Okay, sweet. Having done all that housekeeping, just a big welcome to everybody. We have a lovely set of folks here, about 25 of us, and we're looking forward to our conversation. I will share the slides with you right now. And Sue Ann and Jeff, are you good to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Ani Bojo, Manuka Jeff, good morning. Jeff Nijendukas, I'm the Indigenous Programs Manager with the Farms to Cafeteria. I'm over here in Kingston, Cataraqui, um, on the Big Lake next to Toronto. I moved here from Toronto. And um, I'd like to hear everyone's input and questions and any way that we can help you get good, nourishing food to young people and community. And I'm glad everyone made the time today to listen to us. Miigwech.
Hanse Toao, hello, welcome. I'm Sue-Ann Banks, and I coordinate the Indigenous School Food Circle, Farm to Cafeteria Canada, and the Coalition for Healthy School Food. And I am joining today from beautiful Amakastanaha in the southeast Kootenay region of BC, in Kukamanan, which means animal trail coming down to you, also known as Kimberley, BC. And it is just so beautiful and sunny here right now. So I hope I can bring that energy to you all today. And happy to see you all.
Thanks, Sue Ann and Jeff. So yeah, today we're here to share more information about the Indigenous Foodways in Schools grants. We will introduce ourselves, well, we already have, we will introduce the grant stream and then create space for everybody to ask any questions that you might have. And we can share some of the other questions that have come up during this process. And then we'll have a chance to, for those who can stay, to break into small groups for some discussion with some members of our team who, if you want a chance to kind of talk about what you're thinking about and share some of that with others on the call, as well as with somebody who can help if you want a bit of brainstorming or if you just want to share your ideas and ask for a bit of feedback on whether that's a fit. And so then we'll go on our way. We're expecting it to take about an hour, but we have a little bit more time scheduled as well in case we go a little bit over. So I will just share a little bit about the grants. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat or ask questions at any point in time. We're really flexible about how we structure the conversation. So I first would like to acknowledge that the organization's national office is located on the ancestral and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and that all of our staff come from many different lands across the country, some of which are here today and many are not, playing their roles in other ways. The organization itself, I just wanted to really quickly touch on the vision and purpose. But the vision is food systems that nourish people and planet. And so kind of that deep-rooted connection about just food systems that really support us all. And the purpose, kind of the specific work that we do is to transform how food is experienced, learned, and celebrated in all schools across Canada. And so that's where all of our grants and programs come out of. And this one specifically is our first launch focused on specifically Indigenous school communities. So we try to support what's often called the farm to school approach or the local food to school approach or the sea to school approach. And it's one that really has deep roots in connectedness. We just try to support food systems and connections to those in a wide variety of ways. And this illustration just shows a lot of what that can look like of supporting students to eat food that really connects with them and that they're engaged with and excited by, as well as many of the connections to the land and to culture and to the practices that nourish us in so many ways. And since 2016, Farm to Cafeteria Canada has been giving out grants. I think we're up to over 250 at this point, and I realize that map may or may not show the bulk of them, but as we've kind of grown, we've been able to expand these offerings. And as I said, this is the first grant stream we've been able to offer specifically to Indigenous school communities based on a number of conversations we've been having, and then growing this as an area, just recognizing that there are many communities that would like to see more support and funding, and that we've tried to recognize that and develop this programming. Jeff, would you like to share the goals of the grants?
Yeah, thanks, Carolyn. So obviously one of our main functions is to provide funding for Indigenous school communities throughout Canada to support their long-term community visions of Indigenous food security and food sovereignty that are implemented in the school setting. And so some of those things that we can help provide would be smokehouses, fishing rods, canning equipment, greenhouses, thinking ice auger this time of the year. Oh, Thunder Bay, thanks for saying hello there. Oh yeah, you can introduce yourselves in the chat too. Let us know where you're from. Um, I think about that ice fishing because I used to teach past Thunder Bay in a place called Pekanjika. And also one of the goals is to serve more culturally relevant and other nourishing foods and incorporate Indigenous foods, foodways, and worldviews into the education. One of the ways that we're doing that here is taking on a Indigenous curriculum called Food is Our Medicine, and that's aimed at schools K to 12 to help the school community understand what Indigenous foodways look like, are, and how they are developing, and disseminate some information about how Indigenous food can find its way, foodways can find the ways into schools and curriculum. Another large component is to make sure that schools are connecting with community members, elders, knowledge keepers, and other community members, all the people that make food happen. Also foster land-based learning and reciprocal relationship with the land, because we all know the food comes from the land supports all of us, and support the social development of children and youth. So we have grants between $500 to $20,000 because this is our first year doing this, as Carolyn explained, and hopefully we're going to grow this. So we're doing that work now. We have a total of $200,000 to give away. That's why we're starting with 500 to 200, 500 to $20,000 grants. These are administered over 2 years and open to all schools K to 12 and Indigenous communities or with a high proportion of Indigenous students. And they'll be administered by Farm to Cafeteria and some of our partnerships. We also offer money to start these community conversations. Does Carolyn or Sue want to talk about the community conversation portion?
Yeah, Sue can speak to that.
Got it. So we have two options right now for the grant streams. One is community conversations, and we have 10 spots available for that, and they're up to $1,000. And that's just to start getting those ideas flowing if they're not already, or if you think that there's a need to engage a little bit further in the project plan. And then option two is to do the initiative right away, which can still be the option if you choose option one. Option two is still there, and that is the grants that are between $500 and $20,000. And then I can go over a little bit more about what both those options in a bit more detail. The community conversation, there is the option to fill out a form. You can also do a video where you answer some of the questions that we have posted here. Tell us about your school and your school community. Tell us why you'd like to host a community conversation and what the overall vision is for the conversation, what it would look like, and the impacts it has on the students and community. If you're going for the second stream of applying for the grant right away, still both those options are there to fill out the form. Or you can take the video route and tell us about your school community story, what you're looking to do, the timeline, and how what you're proposing will impact the students and broader community.
Good. So this is a timeline that we have put in our website and application materials. And so I'll just run through it. We have February 3rd, the process opened for people to submit their applications. In February and March, these dates here, yesterday, today, and then a couple of meetings next week. We'll be hosting conversations to share more about the grants and to hear what ideas people have and to have these conversations. On March 28th, the process will close, and then we're hoping to just take a month to review everything and reach out to all those who applied. As Sue-Ann shared, there is the option to apply for a community conversation first. And if you choose to do that, and we do have the funds available that we can support your work, then you can host that community conversation up until the end of September, and then apply for a larger grant for funds to kind of fulfill some of that community vision later in October, and we'll reach out to you a month later. And if we have the funds available, then you can implement that program until the end of June 2027. If we don't have the funds available for a community conversation that you've asked to have, I'm always sad that we're working with limited funds, but then you can still apply for a grant later in October when we make that available. If you've applied for a range of $500 to $3,000 and we do have the funds to support it, then you can receive them right away. We'll let you know in April, and you can run with your grant implementation until June 2027. And if you've asked for more than 3,000, then we'll come back to you with some questions. We have questions in mind just about, how do you have a supportive team in place? Have you done initiatives like this before? And just some questions to make sure that it's one that feels like it could be a fit and doable for your school community. And so we'll ask for your feedback. Either we could have a conversation with you, or you could share your story in video form or in writing. And then we'll reach out again in June to say whether or not we can fund it. And you would have until June 2027, so 2 years from that time, to implement the program. And we do want to keep finding more funding for this. And so we're reaching out to other potential funders and looking for more funding to support as many initiatives as possible. And so that's a hope of ours, that it's really just the start of these conversations, and that we can keep growing this and keep providing as much funding as we can to communities. Jeff.
So the work that we've come to has really been informed by a circle of Indigenous advisors. Some of them are here. Thank you very much for all your work. And so this is the first year, and so in that rollout, we really looked at ways to remove barriers to applying this grant, and that's one of the ways that we're doing now. We're also invited other people on board to help grow our knowledge around Indigenous data sovereignty. We've had really interesting conversations about how we gather information and what we use it for. And Sue-Ann Banks talked about some of the reporting we're asking for is simply looking at impacts of the young people, community members, not so much numbers, but also like narration. This picture is a good example of that. Like, what story can you tell that you see these great positive, hopefully positive, you will see positive outcomes from these grants. And we'll develop a summary of impacts as well, community stories, and you will own your story, and you can ask us to edit or remove it from the site at any time. But it'll be posted on our website, which also, like in this room, is a good way for everyone to see all the work that's being done across this very large country, Turtle Island. And we welcome a conversation about the use of your data and story. Yeah.
And as Jeff mentioned, our website, you can check out all of the resources and stories that we have there. There could be some ones to help inspire. There's lots of great information that is shared between the different blogs. It's a great little hub for, just to help enhance your ideas, to start a conversation, looking at some of the different circles and Indigenous foodways projects that have already happened around Canada through the work with Farm to Cafeteria or the grants. And yeah, the more information on the Nourishing Indigenous Food and Foodways project is in there. Nourishing Relations page, and yeah, it's a great place to go for reference if you need any more ideas to help. And there's also YouTube videos and stuff on there too. So, yeah, I think that kind of sums up some of the pieces of the grant. And I know there's been some questions and stuff that have come up in the chat, and I know maybe we've sort of answered some of them with some of the contacts shared, but we can facilitate some questions and answers.
Thanks, Sue-Ann. I'll stop my share now and stop the recording as well.